I look like I'm trying to be Jim Carrey's The Grinch. Arr, arr. I won't do it. I will not go to the Whoville Whovilation. Yeah. Mary Who will be there? Really? I wonder if she remembers me. And so the mayor. Oh, no. 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 Aloha, nerds, and welcome back to the Salawag's Why It's Great Gut Reaction, where I watch things and react from the gut. I just saw The Deep House. This was recommended by a coworker. He said it was a very freaky movie. There's this couple that are both kind of YouTubers. They got GoPros and they're checking out these scary looking houses, and they discover a house under a lake. And the house seems to be perfectly preserved. And creepy things ensue from there. It becomes a very scary ghost story. Is it a ghost story? It's very unclear whether there's ghosts in this or not. But there's a lot of great horror movie things that get thrown at you. This is a movie clearly made by people who love horror movies, because there's a lot of the horror movie tropes, but not done, I felt, in a way that was like just trying to cheese the audience. I think they were legitimately they just love horror movies so much they can't help but just put them all in there. So it manages to be, I would say, overall a really great movie, a really great experience. It does get a little redundant at a certain point, because the main character is a YouTuber himself and he's making a video. And at a certain point, you're like, shut up, bro. Just shut up, bro. But outside of that, the actual experience of the terror, I think the thing that holds this movie back the most is a moment in the finale. It's not the final moments of the movie. It's just before the final moments of the movie. The movie takes a little turn that I think maybe the storytellers felt was necessary. I didn't think it was necessary. Basically, they try to explain things, and I think that's the worst thing this movie could have done. The best quality about this movie, um, which includes the experience of this YouTuber dude annoying the hell out of his girlfriend by YouTubing all the time, um, that works into the movie. That helps create all the tension because you're so annoyed by this guy, but at the same time, it's a horror movie and they're walking into some kind of danger and doom. So really great experience, just great experience. Just having it make you wonder is the juiciest part of the movie. The whole wondering about whether which type of movie are you in is actually the biggest fun of this movie. But I didn't just see the Deep House, but just that's my recommendation. This is a thumbs up, a double thumbs up, a totally double hang loose brothers. You think that's very good. I'm not really rating on any scale here. I'm just saying good job, brother. I am Hawaiian. The Deep House was recommended to me by a coworker. I saw it on Independence Day, so it was like freedom from being asked, "Have I seen it yet?" or not, and saying no, because like I said, even though it has that problem that I described about the ending of the movie, I would say it was a great movie. I think it was a great time, totally worth the experience. I'd say even up to the halfway point. There's a little build up to getting to the house, but I would say all of that build up is great. Getting to the house underwater is great. It's really cool. There's cool things. They have, I don't want to spoil anything, you know, but they have a gadget. I won't say what the gadget is. It's a cool thing it's pretty prominent in the movie. And it just helps, it adds to a lot of the tension and weirdness. And it also gives the movie this kind of video game quality that's really fun. They're kind of playing a lot of different things here going on at the same time. So it's a lot of fun. Check it out just as the experience. And I'm going to recommend. Oh, this is going to be like a total This is gonna be my first not so great gut reaction. Most of these I've tried to keep positive and nerdy, and if they're not nerdy, I try to keep them short, like right now. Uh, so I watched The Deep House with my sister and her boyfriend. We then watched The Old Ways. I think it was on Netflix. And what a great opening. Like, the opening just gets you there. And it's just like, ooh, wow. And then the movie stays interesting for a good 10 to 15 minutes. And then it slowly snowballs into this, like, increasingly absurd movie. Because the Old Ways, the opening, takes place somewhere in Mexico where a bruja is trying to perform an exorcism on a woman who's possessed by a demon. And awesome opening. Scary, cool. I'm like, oh, I'm in. I'm so in. The way it's shot, directed, costumes, makeup, everything's working for it. But I don't even want to spoil the movie for you because I really think that. Well, I'll tell you a little bit more. Okay, so it starts off with an exorcism. The daughter of the woman is there and she screams at the sight of the possessed thing coming out of the mom. Um, so you get a little bit of exorcism up front. But this movie stops being scary after about 15 to 25. Between the 15 to 25 minute range, the scares stop and the movie kind of just becomes the opposite of what the Deep House was, where you're just like, oh, you're doing the ghost tropes, and here's this one, and here's this one. And both movies use Christianity and Satanism, well, in this movie's case, witchcraft. Both movies use that. So it's interesting how one is kind of cheesy in the way that it's very modern. A guy is a YouTuber and he has this fancy gadgets to help him film himself. And on the other hand, you have this movie that's about the old ways. It's about there's an older way of doing things, and the philosophy is interesting and upfront worth watching because you see right away that this exorcism is not the old priest and a young priest. It's an older woman who has war paint on, and she's a witch, and she has these powers. Um, oh yeah, they don't wait too long. Oh, God damn. Maybe I should take the Benadryl. The movie does not wait. The movie does not. The movie does not wait too long to get into the ghost tropes and supernatural stuff, where you go, oh, this is really a supernatural story. Like, we're not even playing, which is funny. That reminds me of like an anecdote a comedian said once. I can't remember who the comedian was, but I think I saw it on Instagram, and they were like, you see, you can have a group of a white people sitting around talking about ghosts and like, yeah, but they're not real. But if you have a group of Latin people around and they're talking about ghosts, they mean it. They're serious. They're talking about ghosts, and ghosts are real. Guillermo del Toro talks about that a lot too. Growing up in Mexico, he came from Guadalajara, and ghosts are not that people just they believe it. That's their belief. And so the two totally different approaches to the movie. Now, there's nothing wrong going straight for they're real. I think Del Toro nails doing it like ghosts are real, and M. Night Shyamalan does a great job of, hey, ghosts are real. Like, this is not even a question thing for me. There's nothing wrong with going with that approach, but this movie totally goes about it in a corny way that just over the course of time. At a certain point, they're literally playing like cumbia, like fun music when things are picking up, and you know what I mean. It's like, and the woman is becoming a warrior against the demon. All good things. It's just the way they do it is so corny and cheesy. It just takes you out of the movie. You're like, I'm I this is a good story. Like this is totally a good story, but the way it's being doled out, ooh, some of the acting is bad. The editing, like hats off to the editing of this movie of the old ways, because we're supposed to be in this tense movie where this woman has been brought into this compound to be exorcised, and she's being chained up to a bed, and she's supposed to be locked up in this building for an undetermined amount of time until this exorcism occurs or until the demon does what the demon does. So there is a tense premise here, but it gets undercut over and over and over again as the movie tries to be more relatable and get us into the characters more. And as it does it, it just like actually somehow does the opposite. There's a guy who doesn't speak where I'm like, it's not his voice, it's the lines. The lines are so cheesy and they're from other things we've seen. It's just like, man, this guy is really talented. Like, he does a lot with saying nothing for the majority of the movie. And when he starts talking, I'm just like, this is not a payoff. This is not a payoff. Come on. Just him being nice. Like, cause he's pretty rough with the girl in the beginning of the movie because he's the one who chained her up. And the movie does not take long to say, hey, no, the ghost is, I mean, right from the beginning, it's saying ghosts are real, possessions are real, don't question it, that's the movie. That's where we are. So everything the man does is totally kind of understandable from that perspective. I mean, yeah, again, if you've seen The Exorcist, come on. I think that the movie does this weird thing of like not acknowledging The Exorcist, but also referencing The Exorcist. And it's just like, okay, you know, it's okay to say old priest, young priest. She's from America. She would make that joke. But it's so serious, and it wants to be so serious, you know. The old ways is trying so hard to do all the things that, you know, that the deep house knows is unnecessary. Like, no, you know, the characters don't have to explain their whole life story. They can go on a journey and say very little about themselves. Just as long as you feel something for them by the end. And the way this movie ends, it just becomes. The way this movie ends, I can only equate it to how I feel at the end of a Power Rangers episode. Like, I feel like I'm watching the Power Rangers version of Ash versus Evil Dead. It's just, I'm not saying Power Rangers show up, but that is how I feel, because again, when the fun music starts playing in the later half of the movie, it's just like, this is so out of nowhere, and the photography becomes so excessively beautiful, showcasing the jungle and stuff like that, and I'm just like, this is sending me so many mixed messages, man. I'm not saying you can't do these things, but this is like, what the hell? But you know, and then one of the final lines of this movie, you know, I'm not gonna say it, and I'm not gonna say it because I actually do want you to watch this movie. I would say it's a good bad movie. It's a bad movie for sure, but they're trying. Like, holy shit, they are trying the right things. And I'm like, you know, kudos for that for one. They're trying the right things. They're doing their best to do them in the perceived right way. It's just not coming off as strong. Like, I feel so much more for this couple who are just kind of, we get what's going on with them within a couple minutes, because they're just so relatable instantly. It's not about the YouTube. It's just the dynamic of the boyfriend girlfriend. This movie has some complicated relationships that are very roughly described, and it's very weird. It's very awkward. I'm like, wow. Like, if you can't do it with no lines, then do it not at all. Like, you know what I mean? That's not really a hard and fast rule. But still, like, so much is communicated about the boyfriend and girlfriend in the other movie that's visual. That's just how they interact with each other. And that's enough to get who they are. And all of that is actually just told in the old ways. And I feel like that, so just go in knowing that the old ways is kind of a disappointing movie if you're looking for it to be done how effectively. Again, Deep House has its own flaws. Deep House has its own flaws. Okay, but you see where both movies got it right. I really wish Deep House had a bit more story for our heroes, so that at the ending we were like really impacted. I wish Old Ways had a little less story and just kind of showed us some stuff just to kind of, because you can totally fix those problems, very easily. But granted, probably they did the bit what they could. Hey, I haven't even made a feature film. I've made one short. It won some awards, but hey, it does look like it was noted by an earlier reviewer as looking kind of like a student film, and I'm like, I can't even deny that. It totally looks like a student film. But I hope it has professional isms. But because I've been trying to do this for so long, I really love looking at these movies and saying that, hey, I can acknowledge that this movie tried to do the correct things. It just did them a little cheesily. But watch it, okay? But I'm just recommending to you to watch it the way that I watched it. Watch the Deep House first. It's exactly like the Grindhouse experience. I know it's going to turn a lot of you off, but don't worry. Ironically, some of you probably might be the ones who like it. When we saw Grindhouse back in 2008, we were seeing the Robert Rodriguez, who just did, you know, Desperado and Spy Kids and all these huge movies. He had really, and Sin City. I think he'd already done Sin City. And then Grindhouse combined Robert Rodriguez doing Planet Terror with Tarantino doing Death Proof, and that first movie was such a crowd pleaser. It did all the things right. It was a successful horror movie while also being a campy, fun grindhouse movie. And then Tarantino's was like a legitimate movie, but at the same time, kind of long and slow. And because the first one was so entertaining, I think a lot of people wanted that from the second movie, and especially it being Tarantino. And I think he'd already done Kill Bill, and that was half the excitement. So people were expecting that level of grotesque, and then Tarantino just totally did the opposite. And I don't feel he did it necessarily to troll the audience, but I think because he was like, why would I repeat myself? I think if I'm going to do Grindhouse, well, then we're going to do the experience where one of the movies is a crazy ass movie, and the other movie is like it's trying to be a legit. Maybe it's boring, but it's going to be the Grindhouse experience where you leave both movies thinking, hey, one could have used what the other had. But at the same time, both movies kind of needed to be made that way. That was the only way those movies could come out. And I think that was the best experience watching that in theaters, one after the other, because they had all the trailers. Now you can watch the Blu-ray, and it's not quite the same experience. So really, this is a review recommending Grindhouse to you. Watch Grindhouse. It's way better than either of these two movies. Fuck these movies. Watch Grindhouse, Robert Rodriguez, and Tarantino. But anyway, back to the movies I'm talking about in this video. Watch The Deep House, and then watch The Old Ways. Because I think both, I think if you watch them as a pair, as a double feature for yourself, get some popcorn, get some friends, whatever your source of fun is, if it's inebriation or toys, I don't know, whatever your sense of fun is. You can play beer pong with soda. You don't have to drink beer. Hey, here's some shots of, Sprite, Just my recommendation. But whatever your source of fun is, do that for these two movies, and I'm promising you a good night, because you will leave The Deep House feeling disappointed, but still kind of haunted. At least that's how I felt. That's how I felt. That's why I'm recommending it this way. And then you'll watch The Old Ways, and you will leave the old. You will wait for The Old Ways to end. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm recommending this to you, but I'm warning you also. You're gonna wait for that movie to end. It's just be like, it's still going, bro. You told me this would be fun. Trust me. But the real fun is going to be after both movies. talking about what you just did. Because I cannot spoil it for you. The experience is what you need. If you're looking for a fun inside night with your buddies, I'm recommending a double feature now of one and then the other. And not to bash the other one. I'm telling you, there's stuff in there. I get what they're going for. I get what they're going for. Let it be. But truly, to watch both and really see, like, whoa, this is an exact case of two movies handled by two different filmmakers in very similar genres. Two totally different attitudes and backgrounds if you watch them both, but they're both dealing with very similar subjects. So just for that experience, and again, I'm telling you, as a kind of a party night deal, if you do movie party nights, I think this one's gonna be a good one for you. So Deep House on Amazon Prime, and then for sure you gotta watch Old Ways right afterward on Netflix. Yeah, you gotta watch both. It's double feature. I'm telling you, you will be less satisfied with both movies if you watch just one of them. But if you watch them combined in one sitting, and both are like 90 minutes long, so it's only about 3 hours. I'm telling you, you film buffs, you're gonna have a good time just talking about what the hell you just watched. So, and if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Hashtag TheSalawag sucks. You know, no more than that. I'm not asking for disrespect. That Salawag sucks. Totally fine. You know, but what? What do I suck? Don't answer that either, you filthy people. Oh, I'm gonna stop now. That has been my recommendation. Aloha. Remember, don't like, don't subscribe, and don't comment. I don't want to see it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. You love it? Fantastic. I don't care. You hate it? Well, I agree with you. I don't want to read it. I don't care. I also don't care. This is just to get the voices out of my head.